Good afternoon. My name is Kanokpon Samsha. Today I'm here with Mr. Steven Lee, Senior Contract Manager from Koja Company. And would you please tell me briefly about your company?
Okay, Kojao is a consortium of 6 Japanese construction companies, civil engineering companies. We are carrying out the construction of 450 kilometers of motorway through the northern eastern section of Algeria. So it's been a long, arduous project. It's worth approximately $7 billion US. And it started in 2006, so it's been going 8 years, and it's probably going to go another 3 years to complete. So it's a long, big project with many, many different nationalities working within the organization.
Do you have branches in other countries?
As Kojao, because Kojao is a one-off consortium, it's the only place where it operates. However, all of the separate Japanese companies, who I have also worked with before, operate throughout Southeast Asia. Their domestic market is in Japan, but they operate in Thailand. They had lots of operations in Thailand. Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, some in China, not too much. Laos, Myanmar, India, Sri Lanka, also in the Middle East in places like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Iran, Palestine, Lebanon. They also have operations in Europe. So Kojima has offices in Paris, in London, and I've been to some of those offices. So yeah, but their primary work, around the world, and also USA. They've been doing stuff there, but primary Southeast Asia. But they do expand out. They follow pretty much. If you want a Toyota plant built somewhere in the world, Toyota will entrust a Japanese contractor to do the work. So if Toyota are building something in Detroit, they'll ask one Japanese contractor to do the work for them. So they work everywhere.
How many nationalities in your company?
Lots. I counted this up before.
That you work with?
That I work with is at least 15. But that's in my current office.
And the most nationality that you work with?
25, 30 different nationalities that I've worked with. Okay. I have to follow the map. Okay, if we start in ASEAN, okay. Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, actually, a couple of those, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Emirati, Algerian, French, English, German, Dutch, American, Canadian. There are some others, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian. Now I'm struggling. Norwegian, Swedish, Swiss. I think that's a lot for now. They're Japanese, Chinese. That's the ones I can remember. Oh, and Mauritian. That's an interesting one. Mauritius, Nepalese. So yeah, quite a lot.
And you use English with each other?
The primary connection is the language of English. Yeah, so that's one of your later questions as well. But I think is what kind of things are important. But the common language was very important, and I have an advantage because I'm a native speaker. Whereas all these other countries, all these other nationalities, it's their second language. And sometimes, I know this is jumping from your question, but we could have a meeting with 6 different nationalities talking to each other. Everyone is talking in English. Even some guys from India will come from different parts of India where they speak different languages. They will speak to each other in English. And sometimes I'm like a translator because they won't understand each other's English, so I have to explain from one person to another. So.
What is your organization culture? The culture in your organization.
Do you mean like a nationality of the culture or a tradition? I mean, it's international, but I understand what you're saying. It's because it's a Japanese company.
Yes.
The overriding traditions and customs are Japanese. However, the Japanese companies are very aware that they have to have an international outlook. So usually, they only send people on international projects who speak English to a certain level, as a minimum. Unfortunately, on the project I'm on, the language, or the number of staff that they needed, I mean, we had 36,000 people working on the project, and over 1,000 staff, and a lot of those staff don't speak any English at all because they couldn't find the people to actually do the work. So the culture is Japanese. The language is, the common language is English. We're also in a country where French is the spoken language together with Arabic. So we end up with 4 languages being utilized. So it's very international in the sense of the culture. But it is predominantly Japanese, which is a link to the home country of the companies.
What is a barrier to work with the foreigner?
Language.
Language.
Can be a barrier. So communication is one thing. There is sometimes customs and tradition. Do you understand? Well, you go to different countries. It's a smaller problem, but you could have traditional ways of doing business, which they are different. So if you come from Europe and you try and do business in China or Thailand, there are some slight different ways of understanding how a business practice would work. But generally, as long as everyone has a common business understanding, most of those problems are quite small. Language is a problem, but as long as people give themselves some time to try and understand, what, say, I would try and understand what you want, and you understand what I want.
Like gesture, the body language.
That does come into it, yeah. If you try to do a Skype meeting, if you use Skype and you speak with someone from a different culture, it's almost impossible to have a proper meeting. But if you meet together, yeah, you're right, the body language and the way people communicate, it does help. But even then, with my Japanese colleagues, I could speak to someone who spoke good English, but they would agree with everything I say, even if I was wrong. Because Japanese culture is to the point of they just say yes, yes, yes. A little bit like Thailand, in a way.
Yes,
they just say yeah, and you have to...
But they don't understand.
Yeah, basically it's like that. You ask a European, or just say a British person, I'll say, I don't understand. But, because I don't, in my culture it's not a problem to say, can you please explain some more, because I don't understand this problem. But I was surprised that, I mean, I'm used to it in Thailand, but in Japan I was surprised that even very, very senior people, but if they're younger than me, they won't question what I say. But then I can see when I talk to them that they don't, maybe they look down, or their eyes switch off. And then I have to say, I think I need to explain this to you again, because I'm not sure that I've explained myself correctly. But that comes with experience of dealing with many cultures as well. So when I first left the UK, I wouldn't understand this, but after 20 years of working with different cultures, I do understand it, but not 100%. So it is, but yeah, I think you understand that as well. Okay.
How did you solve this problem? Just you can understand.
Patience. Do you understand? Yeah, you have to be patient. You have to give it some time.
Try to complain them.
No, not complain. Not complain. By being patient, we just give more time, and we try to re-explain. And being calm and Jayen, I think. Yeah. If you're Jayen and you try and help, you have to be positive as well. But I have seen people do just complaining, and that doesn't help. That doesn't help. So.
What is the difference between work with male and female?
Okay, it is different.
Yes.
What's the difference?
Right.
Okay, in my business, it's 90% men. In construction, civil engineering, working in foreign countries, so it's mainly men, and men, we understand how to deal with each other. It can be aggressive.
Yes.
It can be loud. It can be, it can be.
Confident.
Yeah, you can have confrontation. It's difficult because I come from that environment. You put me in a room full of women that I would have to argue with. I would feel uncomfortable actually, because it would be difficult for me to take the same aggressive from my business culture, which can be aggressive, to then bring it to having a decent conversation. I've never had any problems though, I must admit. So
You can adjust to.
I think so. Yeah, I think you just have to adjust. But I think the basic answer is it's not something that happens very much in my business, because it's 90%, maybe 95% now.
What is the most problem to work with the foreigner? The most that you face?
I've never faced.
Language.
Yeah, but even language is always a problem. But the worst problem I've ever faced. It's not based on the nationality of the people. So I would say nothing. No problem. Other than, okay, language can be a problem, but my biggest problems come with people from my own nationality. It's you get good people and bad people. This is not really business. This is more society. If you come across a bad person, you will have a lot of trouble. If you come across a good person, you don't have a problem. And that's the same in every country I've been in. So I've come across good people and bad people in Thailand, good people and bad people in the UK. Every single country, it's the same.
How about the relationship between manager and employee? Act like a friend like this, the manager and the employee.
Okay.
All the act like they are very.
It is different. Okay. All right. With my current employer, the Japanese are very. You have senior. Everyone does what the senior man says. No arguments at all. There's no discussion. You have the top man gives the order. Everyone does it, even if it's wrong. Even if they know that what he has said is wrong, everyone still does it. And then
employee can discussion like that.
No real discussion. Whereas in the UK, okay, European side, if a manager, a senior, if I talk to a junior person and I've got it wrong, the junior person will say, I think that's wrong. Can you think about? And I go, oh, okay. But I will listen.
You share the opinion.
We share the information. Yeah. That's probably the two main differences, and different countries are like that as well. I mean, Thailand has a little bit like the Japanese. If you get an older senior guy, people will do it. But in Thailand, it's interesting that, say the senior man says, I have a solution, do it this way. But people underneath say, well, that's not really right. We'll do that, but we'll do something else as well.
Yes.
Thailand does two things. They do both solutions. Whereas the Japanese, they just do the one solution. That's the experience I've had.
In Japanese, very strict.
Very strict. Very strict. But that's also very good for some things. So when you have manufacturing, the Japanese cars, their cameras, electronic equipment, their ability to just focus and push an idea through is perfect. But they're like the European, they're like the Asian equivalent of the Germans, I think. Germans are also similar to the Japanese. They have an instruction from the top they tend to follow, with not too many questions. In the UK we have lots of trouble, we're always asking questions. We can't,
because everyone can answer.
We've all got our own opinions, so we always say, yeah, but what about this? Nice handwriting, by the way.
In your organizations, forget the goal of individual or goal forget in group?
Group.
In group.
Yeah.
What is it, Japanese?
Yeah. I mean, a good term to use here in English, I don't know the word in Thai, but utilitarian. Japanese culture is very utilitarian. U-T-A-L-I-T-A-R-I-A-N. Utilitarian means everything is for the benefit of society, not for the individual. So that's their mentality, is for the group. And the staff like that. The staff, all the Japanese staff, all follow that idea, because that's the way. That's part of their culture. And me, I'm not like that. But I'm also not individualistic. When I was working in the UK, everything is for the individual, or the thinking is all about how can I progress, how can I do something. But I'm now somewhere between the two, because I have my basic schooling, my training, my culture is all based on that, but also the last 20 years I've come from, the Japanese idea, the Asian idea, and the European idea. I'm somewhere in between. So I understand the group, I also understand the individual as well.
Your company focus is maintain the relationship or the focus in short profits? Like do business in the long term or short term?
The original philosophy is long term.
You want to gain the market share in the future, like that?
Yes, it is like that, but that's originally. How to put this? My company, that's their basic philosophy, and they don't want to change that. So it's all about long term, not just short term profit. So that statement is true. Keep that statement. But there's something complicated about being an international contracting organisation. The Japanese company tends to work with Japanese fund providers, Japanese banks or development funds. So when they do a job in Africa, the money and the finance is still coming from Japan. So if the project is okay, then everyone knows, okay, they have some profit, but they always want to do a good job so that they would get the next project with the same development fund. The problem with the latest project I'm on is that it's not Japanese funded. It's funded by Algeria, the government of Algeria. And the government of Algeria's culture and tradition is very, very different. So now there is no desire, they don't want any future work in that kind of culture. They're quite happy just to take some money and leave.
They just meeting and sign the contract like that.
Yeah. But originally, when they arrived in 2006, they wanted continued work. So yeah, so that's where I keep the original statement. They don't want quick profit. They want long-term gain, which is sensible.
That's the
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Good questions.
I have a small gift for you.
Oh, you don't need to bother. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your kindness.
Oh, thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.